A bird? You want a bird?
I want my bird.
I can get you a bird. I can get you 10 birds.
I want my bird.
We got you the bird, pal.
This is not my bird.
What do you mean? That's the bird. This is the bird. Yeah. Pulled a lot of strings to get this bird. This is a great bird.
It's a beautiful
We got this all the way from Russia.
A man. This is not my bird.
Hey, there he is. It's the bird man. Oh, now you like the bird. Is that right? Is that your bird? I'm confused. You said it wasn't, but now it looks like you're best of pals. You love that bird, don't you? You know what? Take the bird.
I want my bird.
It's good movie season, y'all.
Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake!
I saw this movie because it got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, so in reality that means it's the best film ever made in the history of art. No, but for real, Lady Bird was a pretty great movie. Who would have thought that Greta Gerwig could direct such a funny and down-to-earth film?
I did. Going into this movie, I was expecting an authentic, funny, and quirky experience. I was also expecting to feel the influence from her boyfriend Noah Baumbach, who directed her in the amazing 2012 film Frances Ha. Unlike Noah Baumbach, she's able to do all of these things while also being emotionally engaging and able to deliver a satisfying ending. Not a knock against Baumbach, but a lot of his movies just kinda end. Although I walked into this movie 3 months ago with a fair amount of knowledge and background about the filmmaker, Gerwig's ability to make a compelling film allowed me to leave all of that at the door. Lady Bird has those influences that I previously mentioned in it, but it's sprinkled throughout instead of being completely dictated by them.
The film stars Saoirse Ronan,
Her name is Saoirse Ronan. Her name is Saoirse Ronan. Her name is Saoirse Ronan.
The film stars Saoirse Ronan, who Lois of Keys looks like Jenna Malone, who is a babe, and she gives one of her best performances ever in art. You probably remember her from the film Brooklyn that came out a couple of years ago. Just kidding. You probably remember her from The Lovely Bones or The Host.
What about Atonement, you casual? Do you even art house?
Anyway, Ronan plays Lady Bird, a senior in Catholic school who wants to leave her hometown of Sacramento, California in order to actually be true art. You feel for Lady Bird, and even though she is sometimes a little shit, you want her to succeed in life. Of course, since I was never a teenage girl, I can't really relate to her that much.
You don't need to be a girl to relate to her. What is the matter with you?
I also never really fought with my parents like Lady Bird does. I'm not sure, maybe it's a white people thing.
It's not. There are a lot of white people things, but fighting with parents isn't one of them. Now, cursing at parents, that's a white people thing.
And it's Marianne who has the final word.
Please, mommy, I need to get to the academy, fat bitch. You are a fat bitch. You are a fat bitch.
True. Ronan is joined by Laurie Metcalf, who plays Lady Bird's mom. The two play perfectly off of each other as a somewhat by-the-numbers coming-of-age story is improved by a convincing and realistic depiction between a mother and her daughter.
Metcalf, who I know best as Andy's mom and Billy Loomis's mom in Scream 2, gave another memorable mom performance in Lady Bird. And everyone else is great, from Tracy Letts to soon-to-be Oscar winner Timothée Chalamet and Lucas Hedges, I guess. Speaking of awards, which I think are totally bullshit by the way, I'm pretty shocked that this film wasn't nominated for Best Film Editing because all of the heart-wrenching and funny moments in the film came from the editing. You usually don't hear people go, wow, this film was so well edited, OMG, but yeah, this film was so well edited, OMG.
Also, really quick shout out to whoever did the wardrobe. I am literally gonna look them up right now, one sec. April Napier, I love what you do. You're a doll. Amazing choices.
The film opens up with probably the most memorable opening scene since The Social Network or The Lion King. In time, I guarantee you this verbal sparring match that opens the film will be jerked off to endlessly, and when it does, you'll be like, dang, thanks for knowing the future, or something. In terms of negatives, I have a couple of things. There's a shot where Lady Bird is in New York City and she looks up and she's able to see the stars like she's in an open field, and it's weird. I've lived in New York City for most of my life and I have never, and I mean ever, seen the stars when I'm actually in the city. So, I'm in the middle of New York City, and look at that! Do you see any stars? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Another thing is that there's a point in the movie where Lady Bird basically ditches her friend to try to appease to the cool kids. You know, that American high school movie cliche. Now, this part didn't make my eyes roll or anything because I know that it wasn't about her status in school. It was more of a reaction to how she feels about her mom, and I totally get that. But I wish it was approached in a better way. It was well intentioned, but it didn't completely work for me.
I wanted to quickly take note at some of the camera placement. It's not really the best. I might be the minority when it comes to this, but I feel like a lot of the shots didn't feel inspired and were just there to be there. I didn't feel a sense of wow, art, like how everybody and their mother is feeling. Don't get me wrong, the movie is good and is watchable, but I just didn't think it was as Oscar baity as it could have been. Yeah, it's basically what The Edge of 17 should have been, and I think it's Yeah, it is basically what The Edge of 17 should have been, and I think it's a little more engaging than Boyhood, but I probably won't bother with it again anytime soon, and that's a shame.
How are Lady Bird and Boyhood related besides the fact that the protagonist spent time in high school?
In Boyhood, we watch Mason grow up in the most pivotal moments in his life, and it's basically the same with Lady Bird, except that we don't follow her entire life. We follow these white kids go through all the struggles of being white in America, with drugs and alcohol and sex and partying and being broke, and leaving their parents to go to college and become art. They reminded me of each other.
Okay, sure, I guess. Whatever. Well, in conclusion, we really like this movie. If you didn't get to see this movie in the theater, I kind of feel bad for you. It's not like it was this overwhelmingly visual experience like Blade Runner 2049 or anything, but the atmosphere that was in the audience for this movie is something that you can only get at a movie theater. And I'm gonna give